Yeah, the title is a bit clickbait because even though these accessories work for the X100V, I of course have an X100F. I mean, it's not going to change anything. So I kind of wanted to talk about the accessories and the settings that I use on my X100F currently. These, of course, can be worked with the X100V, ST, the original one, because these accessories and everything work on that camera. They work on all the other cameras. But I just kind of wanted to go ahead and talk about the reasons why I have the accessories that I have, what they're good for, and why I think it kind of like completes the entire package of the X100 series. Now, for the most part, you don't necessarily need these accessories to make it, a usable camera. For some cameras, you do need a couple things here and there to make it really shoot the way that most people tend to shoot with it. But for me, this is kind of like what I consider to be the best overall setup when it comes to actually shooting with this camera and this system. So I guess like the first thing I kind of want to talk about, which is something I think you kind of need on this camera if you're going out for long periods of time or you're shooting with different types of setups like a tripod or something like that. And that is definitely getting one of these grips, these plastic grips. They might have other types of grips, but I personally really enjoy this Metrocase grip that I got with the camera because it replaces that rubberized texture that the X100 series has. A lot of people really do like that, but the weather's getting hot. It's a lot hot out. Your hands tend to slip off of that grip, especially if you're like me. Sometimes you might get sweaty hands if you're out and about in the heat or you're just shooting a lot with this camera, even though I haven't really been able to go outside because of you know what. But having this extra grip really allows me to easily one hand use this camera a lot more. It's easier to hold. I can have all of my fingers on it at the same time, and there's a good placement for your thumb on this camera. So the placement where the thumb is, you can kind of hold it a lot better with one hand. You can go ahead and switch all of your buttons and everything really easily while still gripping the camera. Everything is still available to you. The joystick is perfect, easily use it. So I would definitely recommend getting a case or a grip like this. And what's the most important part of it is that it actually puts the thread adapter right where your lens is. So before, as you can see right here, this isn't in line with where your lens is and where you're going to be shooting. So when I put this on my tripod, it's directly center with the lens and with how I'm going to be shooting. Before, it'd be a little bit offset. So yeah, I would definitely recommend getting something that puts it in line with the lens for sure. And of course, with this grip, I can easily access pretty much everything on here. All of my ports are open and good to go. I can easily hot swap my battery out and everything. So definitely would recommend getting a grip, especially if you're like me and you like to shoot one-handed a lot, kind of moving around, or it just gives that a little bit more oomph to it, to where it doesn't feel like my hands are going to slip off and I'm going to accidentally drop the camera or something. The next thing I want to talk about is this lens hood. Now this is the JJC LH X100 lens hood. And what's great about this is that it is incredibly cheap. It's not the best looking, it doesn't visually look great, but I'm more about the practicality than just the look, because I already think the camera looks beautiful anyways, so even adding this doesn't really detract from that whatsoever. And what's great about this is that it does come with a thread adapter for your filters. So right now I have a UV haze filter in here, which is more just for protecting the lens and everything. However, I do want to get like a pro mist filter to go ahead and put in this, which would be really sick to shoot at night, because those Tiffin pro mist filters, I mean, it's kind of the trend right now, but they're beautiful. I mean, the diffusion on those things are insane. So This comes with the thread adapter inside. Put whatever filters you want on it, and then the lens hood fits directly on top. It's a pretty quick pop off, pop on kind of deal. And what's also great about having this lens hood is it's easier to grip the front of the lens itself. I don't know if I kind of shoot like that. I like to hold the lens a little bit more, but with the without it, it's kind of hard to grip the camera and really get like a hold of it while you're shooting and everything. So having this lens hood allows me to easily grip. If I want to go to manual focus, it's a lot easier. If I need to change my aperture, it's a lot easier to hold the camera with this lens hood on top, so that I can easily switch my aperture since I'm shooting 99% in aperture mode. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about in terms of accessories is I think you should always get like a wrist strap or some form of strap. I personally don't wear this over my neck at all. It's just the basic Fujifilm nylon strap that they give you. Nothing too crazy. I haven't bought like an expensive like $100 neck strap or anything like that, because with this camera, it's not that heavy. It's not like I'm using a giant DSLR with a 70 to 200 millimeter lens that's like 15 pounds or something like that. No, this is like a pound and a half, I think. It's not that heavy of a camera. So how I shoot is I do the wrap around my wrist shot, and I go and I shoot like this. This gives me enough confidence that I'm not going to drop the camera, and that I still have room to grab the strap in the event that I do drop it. But with this camera, I don't like having it around my neck and then having to pull it up to shoot, or then taking it off and then having to shoot. I like to have this ready to go whenever. When I'm going out and shooting with this camera, I want it to be on, ready, boom, take shot, keep moving on, that kind of thing. I think that time that it takes to take it from your chest up to here, or time to take it from your chest up to here, you're gonna miss something, you're gonna miss details, you're gonna miss shots. Having it in your hand all the time is kind of what makes this the perfect street camera, walking around type of camera, travel camera, whatever. It's not just sitting here at your chest all the time. If I'm tired of holding it, which doesn't happen regularly, I will either put it in my bag, or I'll get one of the Peak Design daily bags to slip in, slip out, that kind of deal. I think having it around your neck kind of defeats the purpose of shooting with this camera, because it's a very in the moment camera. So you want to be ready to just go boom, shot, done, good to go, keep moving on. When it comes to settings, I've talked about this before. I shoot completely aperture priority. I think that's the go-to and everything. With my button layouts, I have my ND filter, I have single point or continuous, I have my film simulations, even though I'm mostly shooting classic chrome or one of the black and white filters. I don't really use the JPEGs too much. I do like to tweak and edit my own photos, but with Lightroom, you can go ahead and pop on classic chrome as the color profile picture. Helps to kind of bring back that look that I had when I was actually shooting with the camera. I use a live view. I don't really use the non-EVF. I do like using the EVF. I might try to shoot rangefinder eventually to get better at compositions and looking and seeing, but I think being able to see what the image is going to look like is a bit more important to me. Got all my settings. When it comes to the ISO settings, I kind of stole these from Joe Allen, so I use a ISO base of 200, ISO base of 200, the limit of 1600, 1/200th of a second. That's for if it's really sunny out, and then I'll pop on the ND filter that's built in. If it's a little bit darker out, I'll shoot up to 3200 ISO with 1/125 shutter speed. And then of course, if it's nighttime, which I haven't been able to do just yet, pump it up all the way to 12,800 ISO, 1/60th second. And that's pretty much the setup on this camera. Like I said, you don't need much, but it's the little things that help it depending on the style of how you're shooting. I think having the lens hood gives better protection, helps you grip it more. The grip obviously makes it a little bit more comfortable to one-hand this camera, and as well as like making sure it doesn't slip out of your hand. And then just any strap, which I'll probably end up getting a wrist strap, but having any strap on it just gives you that extra layer of confidence when you're shooting, so that way you're not slipping, you're not dropping the camera or anything like that. It's a great system, and you can shoot it just naked, but I think a couple of things here and there help to make the experience a tad bit more better, or just help with your style. The only thing that I'm probably going to get, even though for some reason they're kind of expensive, is a shutter button. I don't really like the shutter on this. I think it's a bit too mushy sometimes. I would like to put a button on top of it, that way I'm like, my finger isn't slipping off and there's a bit more texture or whatever when it comes to shooting with this camera. Other than that, I mean, you've already seen my first impressions video when I bought it. A month later, still absolutely adore this camera. Going to continue to shoot with it and everything. That was probably completely out of focus, but that is the setup. And if you have a different type of setup or any other type of items that you like to use on your X100 system, let me know down below in the comments. In the description, I'll go ahead and link everything that's on this camera. And yeah, hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Hopefully we'll be able to go out and shoot eventually. Don't know when, because California is just getting worse by the day. So one of these days I'll be able to go out and shoot, and hopefully I get to talk about my film camera eventually once I get my prints back. So have a good one, and catch up for the next one. Make sure you subscribe, like the video if you liked it, comment down below. Hoping to get some POVs or something out eventually where it's actual me going out and taking photos. But other than that, have a good one, and later.